So what we're going to take you through here is an anterior hip mobility assessment and then a few exercises you can do afterwards. This is important for things that you're working on the posterior chain. So this could be things like deadlifts, kettlebell swings, anything where you need to get that full hip extension and get the full power out of that posterior chain. All right, so what we're going to do for this assessment is I want you to get on a stable structure if you have a bench, or you can even do this on a bed. And you're going to grab your knees and bring them both back up into your chest. And the goal is to get your back as flat as possible against the structure you're on. Once you do that, you're going to hold on to one knee, keeping your back flat, let the other knee fall, and you're going to see how far you're able to go. What you want to look at, and you can kind of lift your head up at this point, is see if that hip raised up or if it turned out to the side. Here in this example, the hip is raised up a little bit, so that would let me know I need to work on this anterior part of the hip to improve its mobility so I can get the full power potential out of the posterior chain. All right, so for this exercise, what we're going to do is take a lacrosse ball or any kind of ball that you have to work on the soft tissue in the anterior part of the hip. So we're going to put that on the ground. We're going to get your quad and one of your hip flexor muscles onto that ball. And our first objective is to find kind of a tender spot that we have there. So as soon as I find that, what I want to do is move that muscle up and down over that ball. After I do about 5 or so repetitions of heel going towards the butt, we can keep that tension on that muscle and start to rock across it back and forth. So a little bit of a windshield wiper from our hip. And then doing about 5 repetitions or so back and forth. All right, so for this exercise, we're going to work on mobilizing the anterior hip. The first thing you're going to do is get that knee on the ground and get in a split stance so you're nice and stable. We're going to contract your glute, and then we're going to stabilize your back while you're trying to lunge forward so you feel a stretch going down the anterior part of your hip towards your knee. Once you get to that position, you're going to do some gentle rocks into that motion so you feel that motion move down through the anterior part of the hip. You're going to perform about 10 to 15 repetitions of this. To progress, we can use a band and put it on the same area of that hip to add an anterior force or an anterior translation of that hip. So here the band's giving that anterior force. It's going to be a little bit more of a stretch. I'm going to still contract that glute, stabilize my spine, lunge forward so I feel that stretch going down, and same 10 to 15 or so mobilizations.